pitfalls of technology-first approaches, because this is such a big temptation, having this amazing technology at your fingertips, and then you want to do something with it. And before I talk about AI, because AI is going to be a big part of this talk, and also like the case study at the end, I want to give another example that I think everyone is familiar with. But whenever we think about the future, and as I was saying, we have access to these new technologies, we tend to be overly optimistic and think that our solutions will work and they'll be amazing, everyone is going to use them, and then we pour all of our energy and resources and time into making them happen just to see that they flop, right? And the example I want to talk about is Segway, the personal transporter. It is something that came up in the early 2000s. The inventor of Segway said that it's going to revolutionize the transportation, right? Somebody else says it was bigger than the internet. Even Steve Jobs, I think it was, he said it's as big as the PC, right? So a lot of praise about the potential of this technology. This was an entirely tech-first approach. They had some technology which was patented, and this technology allowed this machine to be self-balanced. Also, it gave it a pretty big range, decent speed. So all of the elements to be a good product. The project was codenamed Ginger, was kept under wraps. Just a few people knew about it, like Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos. They were privy to the details. But I think one of the key things I want to bring to your attention is the fact that $100 million were spent developing this product, which even more at the time, it was such a huge amount to spend on a product. And a little bit of a history. So it has been launched in 2001, 100 million put into the development of it. At one point, it had been acquired by a British businessman who sadly died riding one of these Segways, crashing into a river. It was then acquired by a Japanese competitor, Ninebot, for 75 million, and then they discontinued it shortly after in 2020. So that's kind of the timeline of the Segway. As you can see, a very short lifespan and lots of money.
It's more like a money journey.
Yeah, it's more like a money journey here. It's like wasted money journey, okay? So what caused it to fail? And there are a few things here that caused it to fail. It's high price point, almost $5,000 US, right? It was too expensive for the average consumer. The bulky design, it was heavy. It weighed 96 pounds, right? Like it didn't look cool. There were not many use cases for this. There were like safety concerns. People were worried at losing balance, and especially like when riding the sidewalks, and actually they would lose balance because sometimes the battery would not give any warnings that it runs out, so people would be left without power. In the end, it remained constrained to a niche markets like tourism. I think you've seen these groups of tourists that look weird. They're all on these Segways in the city, maybe security guards. And then there also, it faced some regulatory issues, like what rules do we apply? Is this like for pedestrians? Is it for cars? Like what are the rules here? And if we're looking at all of these factors, we can see that very few of them have something to do with the technology in itself, right? Let's say maybe the last point is something about the technology and like mostly like the regulatory aspect of technology, but all of the other aspects are all about the end users, like high price point, the design, no use cases for the users, like the niche market, safety concerns people had. By the way, like as I'm talking through these points, I'm thinking of a new product that has been just launched. I think everyone knows what I'm thinking about, and this product has a high price. The bulky design, it's still looking weird. The use cases are still to be determined, and it's been launched by a very big company. So I think everyone knows about it. I'm just like curious how this is going to fare in comparison with the Segway. Anyway, as we can see, what is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I will have people write in the chat what it is.
Guys, can you guess? I have no idea what he's talking
Yes.
about.
Good. So while people are guessing, you follow this and see if people are guessing. Other tech first approaches are doomed to fail, and I think everyone or most of you might be familiar with Google's graveyard, and they list which products had been killed. We have Google Jamboard is going to be discontinued December 2024. We have the drop in April 2024. So yeah, there's like many examples of technology first approaches who just, I don't know, disappeared, are being discontinued. They're not successful. So we become very captivated by new technologies. They're very, very tempting, and we want to apply them, and that's all good. But like in doing so, we need to ask this question. Like first, does this technology solve a real world problem, a real customer problem? And then can it make the job we need it to do easier, faster, and better? And then when I talk about easy, fast, better, right? Easier and faster, it's more about doing things we're doing today, but like in an easier and faster way. I think it's more important to focus on better, meaning like what can we do different? How can we reimagine things in a way that has not been possible today? But now we have this new technology. Can we like just reimagine everything from ground up? So that's kind of the lens I'm having here. And here we are today. We have this amazing new technology. We have AI. Everyone is talking about it. There is like definitely hype here. And we ask AI, like, what are you going to do? Like, what's your value proposition? And I'm not inventing this. We asked ChatGPT, and this is the answer we got. And it says, AI will revolutionize a broad range of industries and aspects of daily life. It will fundamentally change the nature of work and human productivity. That's a huge promise, and it just might be so. But this time around, when we're looking at AI, when our clients are looking at AI, because they're starting to ask, okay, how can we use AI? And that's basically the starting question, the technology. We don't want to be repeating the same mistakes. So we ask these questions. How do we ensure that we leverage AI without repeating the same mistakes as other tech-driven approaches had, right? And then how do we balance a tech-first approach with a human-centric approach? Because I do believe that AI is actually more human-centric than most people would think. So these are like the two key questions that are guiding our approach when it comes to building solutions with AI. And the start of this should be the customers, should still be the people. Although like we do have the technology is a tool, although you could argue that AI is a different type of tool than what we've previously had access to, but it's still a tool, it's a means to an end, it's going to help us solve someone's problems, and those still are people. So that's why we need to start there. And although like this is common sense, it's not such an easy thing to do by in organizations, because those making decisions impacting customers are usually the most removed from them. So take, for example, a CEO. They spend maybe 3% of their time with the customers, then a little bit with their frontline teams, and the rest of the time they're in meetings. And the same is true for many other layers of management inside an organization. So that's one of the big problems. People making decisions are not really connected to customers and their needs. Problem number one. The other problem is also like very, very widespread, is companies are working in silos. So you have a technology group, you have a sales group, you have the management, like they're all working in silos. And then these experts, they may know the technology and how to use it, but they're not so much aware about what customer needs are. And then you have other groups, maybe like sales and marketing, who are closer to the customers, but they're not so aware of like, okay, what are the possibilities of the technologies we have? So yeah, having these silos prevents like really good solutions to be built. So then what we need to do is break the silos and make sure that we bring together the right people with the right expertise working together. We need to understand the customer and their needs, especially the unmet needs, and then apply the technology meaningfully to solve them. So that's kind of what we're aiming to do. And how? Um, we believe that we have an approach that's simple, it's effective, and it's repeatable, meaning you can do it over and over again, and you can easily scale across an organization. And it looks something like these 5 easy steps. Of course, this is very high level: discover, decide, experiment, learn, decide again, and execute, right? Coming full circle. So I'm just going to go through each of these steps in detail, explaining what we do at each steps. And then I'm going to end this presentation with a case study showing how this works in practice. Good. So let me begin. Oh, before I begin, I forgot like why this works, because I said like it's so easy, it's effective. It works because it requires minimum time commitment from your subject matter experts. Things your subject matter experts being your engineers, AI experts, salespeople, like whoever is in charge of building solutions in your organization. You only need 2 days out of their time. I know this sounds like over promising, but like trust me, it's all it requires from them. It requires even less time from your key decision makers. It's about 1 day, and this is very important because those people have their agendas full. You can barely get them. I mean, they jump from meeting to meeting. They have no free time, so they're not going to dedicate days to your project. So you need to make the most of what they have. I mean, we managed to do that in half a day to a day. The whole approach is fast, right? I know it takes maybe 2 days from subject matter experts, 1 day from leadership, but like the whole process takes about 4 weeks, as you will see. It's fact-based. It's really powerful because at the end, you're going to get a very tangible outcome, right? And the biggest advantage is that it's plug and play. It will work with any other sort of workflow you have going into your organization. So whether you're working agile, waterfall, I don't know, there are many other different ways of working, no way of working, right? Like you can just like plug and play and make it work in your organization. So how does it work, right? Like, and I'm going to go step by step here. First phase is discover. And here we start with the customer. Organizations typically serve multiple customer audiences. And when you're coming up with a solution, you can't start by coming up with a solution for everyone. So we will need to prioritize your customer audiences and then start understanding them. So the first step is a prioritization. Right? It's not like you're ignoring everyone else, but like you do need to prioritize. Once you have prioritized, the next step would be gathering data about this audience. This is qualitative data. Think user interviews, ethnographic research, observation sessions, or it could be quantitative research. Think any sort of analytics, survey data, things like this. Many organizations are great at gathering this data, and actually they sit on a ton of it. What they're not so good at is like how they're using the data, because in most of the cases it ends up in super lengthy PDFs, which are hard to read, or it's in Excel files. Like anyway, the data is not in a usable format. So what we do with it, we try to visualize this data in a form of a customer experience. And I'm just going to give here an example so everyone gets it. And I'm sure this is an experience everyone went through this morning, right? Everyone listening here, so you wake up, and then when you wake up, there are like multiple things going on, like you have an alarm, maybe you're like hitting snooze if you want to sleep a little bit longer. Some people start checking the phone first thing in the morning, so you get what I talk about. Then you get out of bed, and then maybe tell me in the chat, like what you think happens here. Let's see. Do we have the chat? Yes. Yeah, we do.
People can access the chat.
I do hope so.
I'm not sure how I set up everything here, so it could be.
We're still figuring out teams, people, right? Okay, good one. Yes, absolutely. I'm not sure if we have them. If not, we should. So let me see, right? Like up to the point where you're leaving the house. So you need to look at the entire customer experience to get the holistic view, to understand what they're doing. And usually when you do that, you're going to align the perspectives of everyone in your organization, your subject matter experts, your leadership, so everyone can make better decisions. Yeah, this would be, let me see if I have it. Like, oh, we have it, personal hygiene there. So thank you, Elisa. So yeah, it's this is like a morning experience would look like, as you can see, and then you can see different outcomes at every single of these stages. And it's important to understand this because this is how you can see how you can create value for your customer, because you get to see where they struggle, what their desired outcomes are, and that might inspire you to make something, to build a solution to address their most pressing needs. Now, going back to reality, that's what we do under Discover, right? Like we prioritize our customer audience, we gather the data, and then we visualize it in a way that people can easily relate to. And then we take this data and we identify key decision makers. Like if we want to build a new product, if we want to bring to market a new solution, whose buy-in do we need? Whose support do we need? These are our key decision makers. We want to see who they are, and then we bring them into a problem framing workshop where then we put in front of them this data that we've just gathered. And this problem framing workshop, which takes 1 day, that's why we said we only need 1 day of their time. We're going to start with our key decision makers' business needs. Like we want to see, okay, what are the business goals you're trying to achieve? And then we put in front of them the customer data, and then as they can look at both, they can make informed decision and prioritize opportunities. This means that after a workshop like this, we have commitment from the leadership and we have buy-in on certain opportunities. So the teams can just go ahead and start building things, knowing they have full support, right? Someone is backing them. Yep.
That was the highlight. But the keys that you are bringing into this workshop, those decision makers that have the influence, that are interested in solving this type of problem, and they have access to the resources. So they need to be.
So as you can see, we're not jumping into solutions because again, that's a very good way of failing, starting to build something. But results of this is we have key opportunities identified, we have stakeholders in agreement without wasting time and energy in endless meeting, which is the default way of coming up to such a result. Of course, it's super long and not so efficient. But like once we have this buy-in, once we know the opportunities, still, right, we shouldn't be going into building the solutions and executing, but rather see, okay, how will this work? And that means running some experiments. And for this, we use a design sprint. We're not going to go very deep into what a design sprint is in this webinar, but like it's our way of running opportunities. So we start with running experiments. So we start with the top opportunity that had been agreed in problem framing by our stakeholders. We put together this cross-functional team. So we have engineering, AI experts. We have people who can talk about the user. Think your customer support team or someone who's involved in improving the user experience. And then you can have business teams, marketing, sales, strategy, anyway, cross-functional teams. This is all about breaking those silos I was talking about at the beginning of this talk. And the idea is that they're able to bring in their different perspectives and expertise to solve this problem, to come up with a solution. Why this is so powerful is because with a design sprint and having such a cross-functional team, you can move from this initial idea, from an opportunity to learning if your solution works in just 4 or 5 days, without going through this cycle of building something, spending time, endless amounts of money. Of course, not 100 millions like Segway, but like even if you're spending a few hundred thousand or millions on it and it doesn't work, it's still a very costly investment. So you get to learn in 4 days whether your Segway works or not, right? And this is how this experiment works. You have the first 2 days, which are workshop days. Day 1 really dedicated to understanding the problem, where this cross-functional team, like everyone brings to the table what they know and their take on this problem. And then day 2, everyone individually brainstorms solutions. They come up with ideas on how to solve the problem, and then they bring them together into a master concept. In these 2 days, you need your core team. So that's why I said like just 2 days out of your experts. And then with a much more reduced team, in day 3, you would build a realistic prototype of the solution. Nowadays, especially for digital products, we're using AI to generate these prototypes. They're very realistic, and it's a breeze building them. And then day 4, you test them. You take this prototype that's like, realistically, it's mimicking your product. You put it in front of your customers and you see what they think of it. So yeah, that's kind of how the experiment works. And then you can see at the end of it, you have a prototype, you have your user feedback, knowing whether they like it or not. And then there's clear as next steps about what we need to do. They're like, okay, we're going to kill this project, or we're moving forward with implementation, or maybe we improve it, right, based on the feedback. So you could have this sort of outcomes. Good, all without building fantasy PowerPoints, as we like to call them, of business cases, right, and all sorts of projections about how our solution would work. So we have none of that. Like, we have tangible prototypes and real customer feedback. Good. So at this point, we learn what works and what doesn't work through real customer testing, also in a very short amount of time, like 4 or 5 days. So the next thing would be to take these learnings and put them back in front of our decision makers. Typically, it's the same that we had during the initial decide phase, the ones that we had in problem framing, and we just tell them, look, in problem framing, you decided you wanted us to work on this opportunity. We did it. This is the solution we built. This is what customers think about it. This is what they want. What should we do next? You know, like, can we build it? And then that's when they give you the go ahead for building, and you can secure additional budget to execute. And that's the cycle. You can repeat it over and over again for opportunities and to run experiments to build something. So it's a way to de-risk bringing up new products and services to market. And you can do it very, very quickly. Good. And executing.
It's a validated prototype.
So how does this work in practice? And I want to show you a case study of this. It's us working on an AI product 2 years ago, I think. So before this entire hype. But the idea is we work with our client, who was a tech company, and basically working in the video space, and they work with different cities, trying to help them optimize city traffic. And they wanted to come up with an AI solutions combining video and other data sources to improve the city traffic management. So that's kind of the background of the process. This project was led by Steve. He was the product lead. He's a deep expert in AI. He's an engineer, right? Like a technology guy, like really, really good with data, with AI, with everything. So what he wanted to create this solution that I was talking about, helping cities get better with dealing with traffic. And also he had his own personal interest, because had he come up with a great solution, it would just make him a hero inside his organization. A little bit of background: he had lost about 1 year trying to build an MVP, which is like real coding, starting to build features of how the product would work. And 1 year into this, they were completely stuck. And of course, they didn't want to incur more financial losses, so they wanted a quick win. And this was the point when we came into this project. So that's the challenge to summarize. Instead of Why they failed, actually, it's because they had this tech-first approach I was talking about. They started with AI, with video, with technology, starting to build the MVP. And then what we wanted to change here is, what if we start with the people and find out like a specific use case where we can use video and AI to replace something that's currently maybe slow, that's not working so well, that's redundant, right, in order to improve this city traffic. And then the key questions driving this project was, what is something that every city in this world will buy, and what would that concept look like, right? We wanted to move away from just having an idea, a general idea of that. And we knew it's going to be AI, right? So that's something we knew. But then what we thought was, no matter how great AI is, how great the technology is, if people using it, the traffic engineers, don't understand it or they don't trust it, they were just not going to use it. So one of the risks with this project was like making sure that the human operators of the AI will know what's behind the scenes and why AI worked, right? And these engineers were right to be skeptical, because even today, many things that, even more so today, a lot of things that are branded AI, they're not like that intelligent, right?
So, high quality.
Yes, or high quality. So looking at our approach during the discovery, we gathered all of the existing data and research that they had. So here is like all of the data sources that the city had access to, like sensors, traffic lights, cameras. Like you can imagine everything generating data around traffic. And that was our quantitative data, but we also wanted to get qualitative data. So that's why we talked with traffic engineers to see how do they do their daily job. And we took all of these insights and we mapped them, we visualized them, much like the morning experience in my example before. It's just that this map was
very complex.
Very complex, right? It had a lot of information on it. We visualized all of this data, and it showing the data sources, but also how traffic engineers are navigating different scenarios when it comes to traffic management. So that was the discovery phase, gain the data, build empathy with the traffic engineers. It was like so easy to see how overwhelming data was for them, right? Which made their job very, very challenging. Imagine a traffic engineer is looking at 10, 20 screens, all displaying different data, like spotting a car that's broken on the side of the road. It's quite hard to do, right? So yeah,
many dashboards, phone ringing, all kind of data sources in front of them.
So we did this like fairly quickly. I think probably 1-2 weeks it took to put together all of this data. And then we wanted to decide, that was the next phase, and we did a problem framing workshop with key decision makers. It was a 1-day workshop. We put all of these insights on the walls. We brought into the room even more experts like traffic engineers. And what our goal was to make the decision makers understand the data, understand the challenges faced by the traffic engineers, learn what are the root causes of the problem so they can make informed decisions on how to move forward. And in the end, in this workshop, the stakeholders identify not one, but I think, I don't remember the number, but it was like several business opportunities around traffic. And then they agreed to concentrate on a particular use case of that and build an AI solution around it. So once we had this decision, we then moved into building this solution. We used a design sprint. It was a 4-day design sprint. As I mentioned, we put together a team of experts, from traffic people to tech people, AI engineers, right? So that we can develop this solution which would be worth the investment. At the end of the 4 days, we did have a realistic functional prototype mimicking how AI would work. And that's something that we put to test. And as you can see, this is some of the feedback we got. The questions we wanted answers to were, will traffic engineers understand and trust this product? Would it enable them to do their job faster, easier, better, right? So, and the answer to these questions was actually yes, which meant our client could start and build this product. And now, more than 1 year after this, it had been launched. It's working. But it could have been done 1 year earlier, right? So there is a certain opportunity cost here by taking this tech first approach. We do believe that tech first approaches are doomed to fail if they don't solve a real customer problem, right? Or if you can't gain the trust of people who are going to use your solutions, definitely. Also, now that we're in the AI era, a lot of stakeholders are paralyzed. They just don't know what to do. They don't know what are the right opportunities for AI, how to approach these things. And this is actually these are the projects that we're currently working on. Like the big questions that we get is like, how do we get started with this? Because we don't know. And not everyone can hire the next Steve Jobs who's a visionary to lead the organization into the future. So when it comes to reimagining what's possible and how can we rethink our organizations and the way that we work, our solution is different, right? We don't think the answer is in the boardroom. We don't think that someone is going to have this bright idea, although that may happen in certain cases. We feel like the answer is, let's take this approach. Let's run experiments. Let's see what's working. Let's try to reimagine what's possible by merging user centricity with the possibilities of technology, right? So it's all about experimenting, and at one point it's going to take you to a result. And we do this with AI design sprints today. We have the design sprint, which is human-centric, and we use it to develop AI solutions and take it one step further. In order to make the entire organization aware that and leverage all of the bright minds you have in an organization, we use this as a foundation for AI design sprint hackathons, where you can engage your entire workforce in developing AI solutions. Of course, still grounded in customer needs with AI expertise and making sure, right, it's something that's feasible to be implemented afterwards.